Hi, this is Chris, Video Game Dust Sleeves, and you're listening to the VGDS podcast with my co-host, Linda the Gamer Girl,
What's up, Internet?
and my guest gamers, DanCavDragon,
Hello, everyone.
BonesZ06,
What's a crack-a-lackin', everyone?
and ZombieJLT1.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And we'll start off with the first segment, which everybody already knows is Sleeve It or Leave It. The first game is Dr. Chaos. We'll start with Dan. Would you sleeve it or leave it?
Yes, I would sleeve this game. This is a game I don't have actually, and I've been meaning to add to my collection. So
A game Dan doesn't have? Holy crap! Bones, did you hear that?
Yeah, but not for
I'm
long.
shocked.
Good to hear you
I'm
now.
so shocked right now.
yeah, so I'll add it and sleeve it probably.
He said probably. Bones, would you sleeve this game?
Because it's an NES, yeah, I'd sleeve it. I'm still kind of up in the air whether or not I really like the game, but yeah, I'd sleeve it because it is an NES.
Linda, would you sleeve it?
I would definitely sleeve it. I like this game.
And Zombie, sleeve it or leave it?
Sleeve it, absolutely.
Okay, the next game is Ghoul School. Linda, we'll start with you. Would you sleeve it or leave it?
Oh yeah, it's a classic. I play that every now and then.
And Dan?
I've never played this game before, but it looks pretty cool. So yeah, I'd probably sleeve it.
Bones?
Definitely sleeve it. It is a good game.
Zombie?
Because it's gone up in price, definitely sleeve it.
And myself, I would definitely sleeve it. But then what game wouldn't I sleeve? The next game is Pocahontas for Sega Genesis, and we'll start with Zombie. Would you sleeve it or leave it?
Leave it. It's not that great of a game, but it's an expensive one.
Dan?
Oh wow, I was gonna say no, but I didn't realize it was expensive. So if that's the case, yeah, sleeve it.
It's expensive. It's getting a sleeve. Let's hear it. Linda?
I have this game and I asked you to sleeve it.
That's right. Bones?
Well, I've never actually played the game that I can even recall, so I don't know if I would sleeve it or not, but as of now, I go with no, I'm not sleeving that.
Boo. Next title is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Bones, sleeve it or leave it?
Sleeving it.
Dan?
yeah, I'd sleeve it. I think.
Linda?
Getting a sleeve from me.
And Zombie?
Leave it.
Okay, on to the next segment. Logo sleeve of the month. I wonder who gets the logo sleeve this month. It goes to ZombieJLT1.
Hey.
That's
Yay!
good.
Yay!
He actually has, believe it or not, 2 logo sleeves for sale. One with his normal, and the other one is the Gaming Beautician. All right, on to the next segment. Guess that box art. And there is 2 people that are not going to be guessing this box art right now because they know what it is. So we'll start with Dan. The first
Okay.
image.
Yeah, I've been looking at this one. I don't recognize this off the top of my head. Can you give me a hint and tell me what system this is from?
Yes, I can tell you what system it's from. It is from Sega.
I had a feeling.
I think I know what it is.
I'm gonna guess. It looks cartoony. I'm gonna guess like X Mutants.
No.
Oh, nope.
Linda?
Borg. Justice.
Yep. Ding, 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 ding. You're all the winner.
Boom, 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 boom.
And the crowd goes wild.
I didn't know that one. I don't have it.
Not missing much.
Oh.
Okay. I'm going to assume that Linda might know the second one, so we'll go with you again, Dan.
I know what this is too. I think.
Linda, do you know this one?
Let Dan go.
Okay.
All right. Is it Alien vs Predator?
Yes, it is.
Oh, we got one. Yay!
Yep.
I knew you'd know that one, Dan.
Yeah, I just gave it to you.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All
It's
right.
a very worthy gift.
Yeah, it was.
Well, it was broken, but Bones got it working, so it's all his, man.
Very nice. He says thank you.
That's probably one of very few good Atari Jaguar games.
The Predator sucks, though. Let's be honest. The Predator sucks.
And it's funny because you would think he would kick ass, right?
He's absolutely terrible. His hit radius with people is just ridiculous.
Does have
Like,
a point.
I would never expect them to make the human Marine like one of the best characters, you know?
Yeah, how about it?
Okay. On to the next segment. We're going to actually let Zombie take some time to talk about himself, and we'll get to know him. Zombie? Take it away.
Well, I've been a gamer / collector since I got my first video game back when I turned 4. Friday the 13th was my very first title. I've been collecting hardcore ever since then, I could say. Most of my gaming collection is actually games that I've saved from birthday parties, Christmases, all kinds of celebrations. And I've been doing the YouTube scene for a little bit over a decade, but my channel didn't start with streaming or restoration videos or pickups or anything that I do nowadays. It actually started as a way for me to earn a internship with Lego. Back then, when YouTube was still kind of in its infancy, pixel art was one of the things that was starting to come up in popularity. And I wanted to release a line of 8-bit models that you could buy specifically at stores or online. And that way you wouldn't have to buy tubs and tubs of random parts. You could go and just be like, hey, I want Pit from Kid Icarus, or I want the Contra guys. So my main goal was to design an 8-bit line of characters that fans and gamers could buy and want to actually have on their shelves. And unfortunately that fell through because the internship required me to supply my own room and board, which at that time was not feasible. So I kept doing my channel and my pixel art for a little bit, and then I kind of sidelined it for a good portion of time, and then I came back to it when streaming and YouTubers like AVGN, Pat the NES Punk, the Game Chasers, all the guys that I watch nowadays, when those started to go up in popularity. So I was more of an avid watcher and fan at that point. And then I got into the streaming scene when I started meeting more people and interacting with them. So now that I've come back to YouTube and things are drastically different, I still game collect. I still do my restorations, but now I'm actually launching my own shows to do that with. And I'll also be doing a couple of unboxings, and I've got a new series in the works right now where I show all the different gaming places you can find things at here in Tucson. And I'll also be launching another show where I focus on game reviews. So it's been a crazy last couple of years, I'll say. But one of the upsides to it all is just meeting awesome people like you guys, being a part of the community, and showing that I have just as much love and appreciation for all this outdated technology as everybody else does.
Wow. Well put. Wow.
I actually found Zombie through one of those 3D models. It was like 11-year-old video that got on my recommended feed, and I was like, what is this? This is intriguing. And I clicked on it. Sure enough, it was Zombie's channel. I was like, this is dope.
So you started out with Lego making?
It was pixel art. So what I did was I showed you how to replicate recognizable and favorite characters using Lego bricks.
Okay. Awesome.
And at the end of every video was a price guide to show that if you ordered these bricks directly from Lego, because the program I used at the time allowed you to do that, you could get the exact number and color and size of each brick sent to your home, and all you would pay would be the price at the end and then whatever shipping options they had.
Nice. Now you said you're taking a step. You're gonna start doing different things with your channel. Is it all game related, or are you branching off to something else?
Most of it is game related because that is probably my biggest hobby at the moment. I'm also like an avid fan of movies and music, but I haven't really considered doing movie reviews just yet. Mostly because I'm still trying to get used to the copyright laws and all the different restrictions that YouTube has. I would love to live stream some of the classic horror movies that we know, classic sci-fi movies that we know, some that you may not even know, and just kind of give my 2 cents on them. But I have to be very careful about not crossing that borderline of, as soon as I stream footage or I play a certain
Audio.
amount of audio,
Right.
boom,
Copyright strike.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah,
you?
it would be fun to actually be like Mystery Science Theater 3000 and have you just sitting there mocking it or talking about it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's awesome that you mentioned that, because I'm a fan of that show, and I even have some of the books that Mike Nelson wrote on film critiquing and lampooning like that. So that would definitely be right up my alley.
Are you new to streaming, or have you been streaming? I didn't catch that when you were talking.
I'm new to streaming, so I'm just learning the basics right now of what equipment I need and how to properly use it and go about it. Like, I'm still trying to fine tune all my settings on a regular basis, but I really want to use original hardware. So I'm trying to learn more about how to use things according to the specs of the systems and the games that I use. I don't have an issue with emulation exactly. I just prefer original hardware because that, to me, that heightens the experience. And for people who either had these games or played these games or have never even seen them, it's nice to give them that sort of relatability too, in my opinion.
Yeah,
If they have patience.
yeah, that too. And
Because these older systems, you got to have a little bit of patience.
right, because it could take you 20 minutes to get a game working.
If it's not up to code, probably, but that's part of why I like doing the restoration process. I've never really had an issue with a system or a game not really working. Although I did have some problems with my Sega CD after using it for not many years ago. But I've got that up and running, no problem.
Talk about your Beautician series. Is that like something you're going to continue, or?
Gaming Beautician is a series that I haven't given up on. I originally intended just to do the one video, and I got such a good response to it, both in the comment section and on my Twitter, where I used to post before and after pictures of my restorations, that I decided, I really want to keep this going if people are finding my videos to be informative and helpful. My biggest concern with every video that I do, though, is it too long? And I'm always trying to figure out, how can I condense this? How can I edit this? And at the same time, a friend of mine who helps me work on my videos is like, no, keep it. If it's too long, then people can skip ahead or whatever. It's definitely something that I'm not going to put on the back burner, but I wish I had been able to do this a lot sooner, because there are a lot of restorations that I have done that probably would have grossed out a lot of people watching. And just to prove the dedication that I have towards the hobby, it would have been really cool to show how I've gotten some of the nastiest looking carts and systems to work. Also, part of the problem is, since I have done the exact process with everything in my collection and I haven't really found much out in the wild, it's all based on what I find in stores or in garage sales or what have you. So a lot of that is just going to be based on what I find in the future, but I do have a couple more episodes lined up, a few product reviews that I'll be including as part of the restoration process. And if anyone feels inclined to want to send me something to restore for them, I've considered that as an option too, of making those into videos for people.
Now, time restrictions, like you just mentioned that, I feel that 15 minutes is probably your max. I wouldn't, me personally, anything past 15 minutes is just like, I don't know, like after a while, your attention span isn't there anymore. And besides that, like people just don't have the time to sit there and watch your half hour to 45-minute video and then watch somebody else's half hour to 45-minute video. 15 is like a happy medium, I think. Linda can probably chime in on a little bit more about that, but I think 15 minutes or less is like a good time span. How about you?
Yeah, on average it's about 15, but if you do have an audience that has sat through a 45-minute video no problem for a while, you can get away with it because it just depends on what your audience is liking. If they say, no, I don't like this, then you can have a voting system. That also helps, like, hey, I'm doing this. What do you want to see first? Or what do you want to see this? Or change up a little bit. It's not gonna dictate everything you do, but just to see if like, hey, I did this. Did you like the way I did this or not? And then from there, you can have a starting point. And yeah, like he said, 15 minutes is a happy medium to start with. If you have to do it, then do it, because somebody might not want to like to see where you cut and splice and then all of a sudden they're like, how did you get from that point to this point? Like if you really need it in the video, it's going to be passable. It's going to be okay.
Right. And all right, so Bones, do you have any questions for Zombie?
Yeah, Jess, what's your favorite system to collect for then?
So that's a pretty tough question. I'm the type of collector that I pretty much focus on everything that I don't have, whether I drastically want this game or not. It always depends on price and item condition, and then of course availability. So I don't necessarily focus on a particular system. It's all based on whether I have it, how much is it, how good of a condition it's in, and how often I see it. But I will say probably within the last 2 years or so, my favorite systems to collect for are Master System, and I would say NES.
Wow, Dan, he said Master System.
Yeah, wow, I'm impressed.
It's just one of those little systems that I don't think gets a lot of credit for what it actually can do and the games that it has on it. And it's a system that I don't see very often anymore. When I started collecting, I'd say about maybe when I was about 10 or 11, I could still find Master System games in all of my usual hangouts. Now I'm lucky enough to find one and hope that it's not a Missile Defense or a Hang-On Astro Warrior cart, or what's another common one I see nowadays? Probably the Hang-On Safari Hunt combo.
Great baseball.
Yeah, Great Baseball.
Yeah, me and Dan don't
Just
usually
the ones that I
find
see
them.
all the time.
Action Fighter.
The funny thing is, right, Dan just completed a whole set of sleeves for the Sega Master System, so that's why I chimed in when you were talking about Sega Master System. Like, I literally just got done the set tonight. Like,
Yeah, he
I was
just sent me
finishing up tonight.
he just sent me a picture, and then if you ever need a sleeve for Master System, then Chris has already made it. Don't worry about it.
I made the complete US set
Very cool.
for Dan. So
I think it's also one of those rarities that whenever I talk video games with people and I mention, oh, well, did you have a Nintendo, like, an NES or Super Nintendo or Genesis? They're like, oh, I had the first Sega.
but they didn't because
Like,
nobody
oh, you
really
had a
knew.
Master System.
Right.
Yeah, and then they're like, "What's a Master System?" And I'm like, "Okay, pull up a chair. Welcome into my parlor here. We're gonna show you what the first Sega was."
Unfortunately,
Um,
that system I do not own. That's like one system I've been looking for, but like everywhere as I check, it's like $100 plus. I haven't found one like where I was like, okay, I'll bite the bullet and pay for it. So I'm waiting for that deal to find that good deal on that system, and then I'll pick it up. I do have games for it, believe it or not. I got a converter for my Sega, so
there you go. You're off to the right track then.
right.
Yeah, so you basically have the system already. You're good, man.
No, you don't have the system until you have the system.
But it's a base adapter. You got the system.
No, I don't. It's an adapter. It's not the console.
He's got the components. He doesn't have the shell.
Exactly.
Oh.
You
I
need
just had
the
that
gotta
whole
have that.
console.
in.
What was
Gotta
that?
have that 80s style shell.
Oh yeah. What was that, Bones?
I just had Double Dragon in recently, and God, did I get my ass kicked.
Good, you deserved it for just beating
Dude,
my ass
like,
over
I
the
do
Sega Master
much
System.
better when I play the NES one, but the Master System, for some reason, I get my ass handed to me.
Well, then you should be getting your ass handed to you.
I do like the Master System version better than the NES version, though. Of
I
Double
do
Dragon.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks better for sure.
Looks better. The 2-player co-op is what sold us on it.
Well, I wouldn't know because I never
And-
played that game. I don't have it.
Yeah, I was
You
going to
can get
say,
a
I didn't have
copy.
a 2-player with me.
Yeah. I actually live streamed that game during my Toys for Tots stream. I actually completed that.
Nice.
he
Oh,
did a good
nice.
job.
I've been trying to get awareness for Master System for the last couple days. I'm trying to remember who it was that suggested it, but I took them up on their offer and I said, you know what, I'm going to start streaming more Master System games because I think you guys really need to see what this system is capable of. And going back to that point of collecting for it, I'm a sucker for those clamshells. I don't know what it is. I'm glad that Sega kept that well until they made the 32X stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, clamshells they take up a lot more space. But for that system and Genesis, the ones that actually came out with those, and they're not actually UGC cases; they're actual clamshells with the insert. I'll let them slide. Like I think having it represents the console really, so it's not a bad thing. But if you have a loose cart, I wouldn't go out and just buy the clamshell. I would consider buying a sleeve. Just because it takes up less space. That's the only reason. No other reason.
Also, the box art really isn't that great. On some of
Depends
the-
on this
the
Sega Master
game, though.
System?
There's some of them that have good box arts. Like if you get
I'm gonna have to show
Double
you something.
Dragon, if you got Rampage, they got some good box arts. It's a select few, like the movie ones. Rambo, you get a few of them, but
Yeah.
the other ones are generic. That is true though.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
You
to show you
mentioned
some
Action
good ones.
Fighter.
That's a generic one.
Yeah.
That's a generic one.
Great
Even
basketball.
like Carmen San Diego, where in the world is Carmen San Diego? Is just a car driving at you.
Hmm.
Hey, that's better than great basketball or great baseball.
Yeah,
You
they,
get a
That's
baseball and a
Mitt.
bat.
yeah, they didn't try very hard for some of those games.
Nah, they're playing Jane, a lot of them.
I was like, I wonder who was the graphic designer for all those games.
Maybe that's just what they wanted. Something plain, something easy. I don't know.
I do like the
Because you went from Atari having somewhat detailed on some of them, and then you got great baseball, and you're like, huh? Maybe they're saving on money.
Me?
Yeah, I do like the clean look of the grid pattern. I mean, it was very consistent across all the games, so it's kind of cool.
I did like that. I like the fact that they changed the color, but they kept the grid pattern on all of them.
Definitely want to collect the Sega Mark III versions of a lot of those games because the box art on those just looks fantastic.
We're actually going to have a podcast soon about box art comparison. So that is on the
Mhm.
works. But everybody
Cool.
has to do their homework for that. It's not like something we can just get together and be like, okay, we're gonna have a box art podcast. No, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So it's gonna take a little bit of time to get something like that going. But if you want to
Yeah,
be
very-
involved, let me know.
Oh, definitely, because Linda bringing up Atari's box art, and we're looking at Master System and NES. There's a lot of different strategies that went into that, and that'd be a very interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
Dan actually brought to me the TurboGrafx 16. He showed me a link that compares Japanese box art to American box art, and that could be a turning point on the reason why it didn't do so good in America compared to as it blew up in Japan. Is because of the box art was just like really different, and that is supposed to be appealing to the consumer, so you buy it, and that's probably the reason why TurboGrafx 16 just didn't do so well over here. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I think TurboGrafx has probably one of the worst. I mean, as you know, it's my favorite system, but it's probably got the worst box art I've ever seen in any console.
Well, and especially because if you don't have the actual outside box for it, you don't even have back cover art on the jewel case.
It's true.
Yep.
And you gotta hope that the jewel case has the original manual, otherwise you get nothing.
You get a hue card.
Yep.
With a little bit of a
Just the
graphic,
letters. Just yeah, with the letters.
Mhm.
which I'm fixing that right now.
It's called a Sega card.
It's called
Oh my gosh.
it's called a sleeve for your hue card. And I already made them actually, believe it or not. There are sleeves for hue cards now.
Oh, the Ghost House one?
That's
that's Sega. That's a Sega card. But yeah, I got those too. They're done. Dan asked
Well,
Dan.
yeah, it asked you to make that one.
Yeah,
So you
it's
got
done.
that done?
Yeah,
awesome.
Dan has all seven of the Sega cards done. But for the hue card, it's same concept as a Sega card. They're just about the same size anyway. So I already done I think one for Dan already. It's just basic, slide it in, slide it out, and you can actually put that inside the jewel case.
So she
even if you
said.
wanted. Exactly. How'd you know? She says that a lot.
She beat us all to it.
Oh yeah, she always beats us to it. Believe me, that will never die. Linda will always
Oh.
beat us to it.
Make sure of that.
Dan, any questions for Zombie?
Sure. I mean, I'm fascinated about the Lego thing. So you said you interned at Lego, is that right?
Right. At the time, I was trying to enter their designers program, and if you're selected, what you do is you fly out there. You actually stay at the Lego factory. I believe it's in Germany. I could be wrong about that. And so you have like this lengthy internship where they teach you like the science about the bricks and how to use them, and you pretty much display your creativity with them, and if they like what you have to offer, you get hired on as a Lego model designer. And so from then on, it's up to you to either build the models that they're looking for, or if you're really passionate about launching a line, maybe work with them to kind of put out your own Lego line of models. And that's what I originally wanted to go out there and do, because at that time, pixel art was one of the things that was starting to go up in popularity. And I was actually unaware of that at the time. I used to just build different models at my job. And one day I put a model of Mega Man up on my wall, and it just got a lot of attention one day. So a friend of mine had told me, he's like, they have a Lego program that lets you do this kind of thing. And so I looked into it, researched it. And rather than just applying and submitting a resume, I created my YouTube channel to kind of show whoever I needed to, hey, this is a line that I'm working on. What do you guys think? Is this, does this qualify me to get enrolled into your program? It was just a way to kind of like draw attention to a growing medium at the time. And I spoke with a few people there, but I never got past leaving the States because it was just too costly.
Yeah.
And what I eventually did was just kept making the videos because my followers at the time were just like, hey, could you build this? Or I'd love to see this done in Lego. And I just kept doing it.
How many years ago was that, Zombie?
Oh,
Oh,
it's like 11 now, like because I remember
Yeah.
getting a recommended feed like a long time ago.
Okay.
yeah, about 11 years sounds.
8 years, yeah. For sure 11 because when I saw it, it was like 8 years ago.
All right, Dan, go ahead. What you were going to go on?
Oh, I was gonna say. So I assume that means in general, you're just a overall Lego fan. Is that right?
Right. I've been collecting Lego for probably just a little bit as long as I collected video games, and I never really looked at video game sprites as, oh, those kind of look like Legos. Just one day I just was building and realized that, oh yeah, I could create Mega Man or Mario or a Koopa Troopa or whatever sprites I could using the blocks that I had. And so I ended up just buying more and more tubs. And then I started using a program called Lego Digital Designer, which allowed me to do it online. And so all of my Lego videos on my channel are step-by-step guides that you can follow along with so long as you have the bricks and replicate everything that I show you how to build.
Cool. So I assume are you a Minecraft fan as well?
Believe it or not, I am not.
Oh wow.
Minecraft is just one of those things that went clear over my head. It became, by the time that I actually started looking into Minecraft, it became more of like a cult thing.
Yeah.
And I just kind of was like, I mean, it's cool, but it's not my thing.
And I gotta ask you, I just saw the news that they're going to come out with Super Mario Legos.
Yeah.
That looks pretty.
Yeah, that
interesting.
kind of stings a bit.
Yeah, it looks weird. A little different.
I'd rather see them to come out with a Mario Lego game. That would be pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Not just the
It's kind of
product.
weird to
Absolutely.
see Mario as that big.
I really want to see a Lego game produced by the two companies. If they can get together and do Legos like that, they can get together and do a game. Maybe that's going to be in the future, hopefully.
I'm sure I can see that them doing something, like a Lego Mario game.
I'm guessing that's what the sales of this upcoming model kit is probably going to help them figure out, because the Lego games, for the most part, have been a huge success. I know I collect almost everyone, and I've had a blast playing those. So you combine a very iconic figure with a very iconic toy. I mean, that almost guarantees a win-win, in my opinion.
All right.
Yeah.
Will we see any like pixel art models? That I'm still kind of hoping for, but if those start to come out, I'm definitely gonna get in contact with Lego again and be like, hey, remember me? My channel that's over 12 years old?
I did those. I did those.
I did that first.
Do you collect Lego sets, or are you just like doing your own and that's it?
I used to collect Lego sets. I was mostly into the ones that were around the late 80s, early 90s ones, like the original Castle lines.
Right.
Pirate.
Arr.
Pirate, yeah. The more recognizable but also more pricey sets nowadays. But I collect a few of them based on what their theme is and whatever it is that I'm in the mood for. I really liked the sort of Universal Monster set that they came out with some years back that had like the original Dracula and Wolfman and all that kind of stuff. That was kind of cool. But I don't collect sets as much as I used to. I'm more about just buying loose bricks and then making models and then either keeping them glued or breaking them apart and doing something new with them.
That's awesome. I am really intrigued with I'm gonna have to look at some of your older videos. Check it out. You still have them up, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, if you look up Lego sculpture, and then like I forgot what number I left them off at, but the first model I ever built was Samus from Metroid, and From then on, I just started making different sprites, different series and whatnot. I think the last video I ever did was recreating the Mega Man 4 intro using bricks for the Mega Man sprites.
What about, say, for example, can you do like logos, like YouTuber logos?
All it takes for me is making sure that I can match the colors to the actual logos, and then from then on, it's all engineering. What size brick do I use here, and how do I stack that? I actually do that with my. I do bead art as well. So whatever I can't do in Lego, I do in beads too.
Nice. I didn't know you did beads. You did beads too, huh?
Yeah,
In
Zombie
fact,
made me.
He made you.
He made
Holy crap!
Yes.
actually put her image on the Double Dragon Linda. So now there's a model of what she would look like in a video game.
Okay,
So
So now that's
I
why
need to
Zombie
know.
called me
I was
Double
gonna
Dragon
say,
Girl.
I need to know why you call her Double Dragon Girl.
That's why.
That's why. I
Yeah.
finally know why. I was like, every time
Yeah.
I see them in the chat together, he's always saying Double Dragon Girl. What the hell does that mean?
He messaged me like a long time ago. He was like, "Hey, can I have your permission to do some stuff with some sprites?" And I was like, "Go for it. I don't mind." And then next thing I know, I got a message like, "Hey, here it is." And I was like, "Oh, it looks so good."
I had to be very careful on how I worded that exactly because I'm not trying to come
That's
on
what
as a
she said.
creep, bro. I was just
Darn it, you
like,
beat me to it.
That's the
Yeah,
first
no,
time.
but
How
it
do I-
was. Yeah, it was funny to see people go like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Oh, come on, guys, calm down. It's just he's asking to be able to make a perler bead, nothing more."
yeah. Because I've done that already for a few other YouTubers. Like I've done that for T-Belly, I've done that for J-Love, and it was just something that I was randomly asked one day on Twitter because I started doing my Lego models on Twitter again, and then I started doing my bead models on Twitter, and then somebody asked me, I forgot who exactly. And then I was talking to T-Belly during one of his streams, and he said something about wanting to look like Master Higgins from Adventure Island. And I said, I
T.
bet
Higgins.
you I can do that. So
You should
yeah,
make
that's
videos
actually
of that,
one of the
though.
names.
That would be a nice series. You doing like
Yeah, like
that
just
kind
do
of
like
art.
a really sped up, fast version of the like perler bead art, and just like today I'm gonna do this character, and just speed it up, and it'll look really good. I like that.
I've considered that actually.
It's quick and easy too to edit. Like you literally just speed it up and
Make
just
sure I
do one
list all
take.
the colors. Yeah, totally.
Do you use anything else like Steel Tech or Constructs or anything like that? Hell, Lincoln Logs.
I tried using other mediums before. It doesn't always exactly work. I've done things with like clay. I've done things with the little magnetics. I've done that before. But Legos and beads are just like the easiest things to work with because they tend to have the right colors. And I'm a big stickler for that. I always try to guarantee, 100% accuracy, if not close to it. Because who's going to want Mario and he looks like he's been sunburned? That's no, I can't do that. I'd be disgusted to even look at it and then to go and sell that to somebody. No, I'm not bootlegging sprites here. So that's another way I design them is just like, okay, if I don't have the color, what's the closest thing? And my girlfriend will actually help me pick and choose colors when I'm kind of in a bind. Like, okay, this could work, but so could this. What do you think? And then we just take it from there.
So are there enough colors to cover everything by Lego, or are they limited?
Lego is limited. Perler beads actually have a wider variety of colors. So even if I want, like for example, building Linda's models, I took most of the original pixel from the Double Dragon game, but I match colors based on her hair color, her skin tone, that kind of thing. And Perlers give you more variety to do that, whereas Lego is kind of strict on what they have in their kits and then also what you buy directly from them, because they do have a lot more colors on their website, but they tend to cost more because you can't find these in stores.
Hey, Linda, you got any questions for Zombie?
Yeah. If you were to have only one system, what would it be and why?
I don't know if I want to live in a world like that.
If you had to.
Sorry, I'd rather die.
Yeah, give me a ceremonial dagger. I'll commit seppuku. Just make sure my hair goes to a foundation that they can use it.
We'll be sure to make.
Oh my
that we'll
gosh,
do
I
that.
don't even know if I could picture Zombie without long hair.
That's like picturing Nintendo without long hair.
I know that the day Nintendo you cut your hair, I'm gonna be like, what?
I say
what
both of you
every-
should. I say both of you should
Game
just
Beaters,
donate
one
it
of them,
day.
one of them cut their hair, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you cut your hair.
That's what everybody says too. Like on my Facebook, I have pictures, throughout college when I started growing my hair out, and people always disbelieve that. They're like, "There's no way you had short hair ever," and I'm like, "Take a look at this photo," and I got the little mop top going on there. Yeah, it's embarrassing. So yeah, I probably won't ever. I definitely intend to donate my hair, but I want it to be like ground level before I do that.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
we're gonna have to go to a
Dude.
man bun after that.
Yeah, and I'm like over 6 foot, so
Dude,
for it
that's
to
like
keep
2 wigs
getting-
in one.
yeah, that's what I'm aiming for.
Holy!
We're talking Fu Manchu.
I was
with,
just about to say that Fu Manchu.
Phantom Fighter main character looking kind of hairstyle. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that's
rocking the
crazy.
Pai Mei. But if I have to pick an answer, I would have to go NES.
Woo!
Yeah,
Nice.
And
as
you
hard
get
of
the
a
hard
choice
clap
that
for
is.
Bones. The hard clap.
That's right.
There's just way too much nostalgia for that, and that's the system that got me started on anything of mine that's game related. So I'd have to give it to that.
Well, Nintendo's a huge staple. If it wasn't for them, a lot of this stuff wouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
We had
pretty
Nintendo
much.
cereal. I mean, that tells you right there.
That tells you everything.
They had
Uh-huh.
literally everything in the 80s, early 90s was just Nintendo. Nintendo. It was seared in your mind.
That or Sega in the 90s.
Yeah, that's all I. That's it's funny. The memories just come back every time anybody says like anything related to the 80s or 90s. Like that's the first thing I think of is Nintendo or Sega. Just because
Yeah.
that was
Absolutely.
me. That was me when I was growing up. That's all I used to do when it was raining outside.
Yeah,
Well,
but
you do
everything
get-
you had too was that your trapper keepers, your book bags, your lunch boxes,
Your
your parents
t-shirts.
bought
Yep.
wall borders, and like literally everything. Your blankets, like they just had so
Your
much.
curtains.
Curtains, your bed sheets. Every time that you open a Nintendo Power and you see that picture of that kid that's just lit up in all his hot colored attire and Nintendo items, and you're like, no kid's room looks
His
like
Nike
this.
high tops, yeah.
Yeah, wearing the power glove.
With the Super
Yeah,
Mario
like
trash
it's-
can.
With the mullet.
Back on his Mario chair.
Business in the front, party in the back.
Oh yes.
I didn't know a single friend of mine who had Nintendo whose room looked like that. I'm like, you're dreaming.
Me neither. That guy must have been
That
rich.
was a lot of money though. That was a lot. Like I don't think anybody could really afford every single thing Nintendo.
No, I
they-
couldn't.
Nobody I
I
knew.
barely got a game every so often.
Shit, I was lucky to get anything, to be honest with you. All my stuff was hand-me-downs.
think my Master System was no, wait. Some of my games were hand-me-downs because my uncle just stopped collecting, and I said, "Well, I'll take it." But
That's the best
yeah,
time.
I had to earn that stuff.
Oh,
My
yeah.
grades had to speak for me.
Grades
Yeah.
and hard work. When they tell you to do something, yep, you better do it.
For me, it was we all shared one system, and then we bought games for the system.
I mentioned before in a couple of my live streams how the only reason my collection ever started taking off is because my mother used to work at a Dillard's back when I was really little. And this was when Dillard's actually had an electronics section in the stores. And so they got every newest release of Nintendo games there were. And my mom was friends with the guy who ran the department. So anytime I had to go into work, that's the first place I ran to and stayed there for hours looking at games in the display cases, the demos. I actually got to try the Power Glove at her store and then also at the NWC back in 1990. And I just remember wanting one of those things so bad, even though the glove never fit. And that commercial with the discount Tom Cruise looking guy in there, like, that's the type of stuff I was a sucker for. So, you know, I was easily sold on box art, and thankfully I never picked a game whose box art was better than the game itself. But I'm kind of glad nowadays we have the internet, because if I had gone in full bore saying, "Oh, I definitely have to have this copy of Dash Galaxy because he just looks so cool," and you play that game and you're just like, "Wow, I wasted $60."
And they were $60 back then.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they're still 60, but back then they were $60. That was a lot of money back then.
Actually,
Sure
Nintendo
was.
stayed 60 the whole time. Like every single Nintendo game past NES was 60, no matter what.
Yeah, I don't understand that, but that's how it was, I guess. Yeah.
Like Sony was like 40. Even when they first started out, all their games were 40.
It's true. And I don't know if you guys ever got a chance to experience this, but some places where they sold Nintendo games actually had that whole, if you don't like it, bring it back for a full refund policy.
No.
Oh yeah.
So,
For a while there,
when-
yeah, GameStop and a couple other places were doing the 7 days. If you don't like it, return it for a full refund.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a collector, so they don't go back.
I second that motion. They don't go back. And Dan,
Well, when
Dan
you have
quadruples that
when you have a
motion.
mother that is no, you can't play that game, they go back.
Well, then I don't play it and I put it in a box and it goes on the shelf. You can play
For
it
that,
when
I
you're
take
18
my
years
own
old,
games.
okay?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Anyway, any other questions for Zombie before we wrap it up?
Oh, that was it.
I have one more. How big is your collection, and what span of consoles does it cover? Like how far back does it go, and do you do a lot of modern stuff as well?
The farthest back I would have to say my collection goes is probably Odyssey 2.
Oh wow, yeah.
Woo,
I've almost got a complete collection of that.
Woo, Dan!
Yeah,
And
sleeves, Chris.
yeah, I know. I actually saw some of those Odyssey sleeves, and I gotta look into getting some for some of my naked cards.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't be
That's what
naked
she
and
said.
afraid. Come to the dust sleeve guy.
As for modern, I'd say I probably collect for Switch and PlayStation 4 mostly.
Cool.
Anything in particular on Switch or PlayStation 4? What type of games?
No, I'm pretty much all around type of gamer. So if it's fun, I'll play it.
You're
If I
like
really
me.
like it, I'll own it.
You see, but the difference between you and I is I'll play it. If I don't like it, I still own it.
Sometimes
either way,
I can't do
either
that.
way, it goes right in the collection. Oop, there you go. Ting! Check that one off.
It just blows my mind that there are so many huge Switch collections out there, and I'm sitting here going, a lot of these games are new. How are you affording that?
Pretty much,
Yeah,
they don't
Meanwhile,
buy
I'm
anything
struggling.
else.
they must live
That's
at home
true.
with mom and
That's
dad.
true.
Yeah,
Well, that could be it too.
and also they probably don't do anything else. That's all they do. So like, they don't go to the movies. They sacrifice
and-
everything
And they
just to
probably
have
don't
that
have
game.
any kids either, so that's another thing.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
dogs,
kids,
no kids.
no
They
no
live
bills.
in a place where it's cheap rent or no rent.
They live with mom
Yeah.
and they have no kids. That's it. There you go.
I gotta second the whole having kids thing because my son collects his own memorabilia right now, and although I help him with that, I'm trying to teach him preservation too. Like, hey, do you ever wonder why Dad has so many games? It's because he took care of them, you know, or he
Yep,
learned
yep.
how to.
You have to teach
Well,
them.
he is collecting. He's collecting your stuff.
Shoot, I might just pay to dig a big enough hole and be buried with it all.
I'm thinking of it. I'm really considering that. Get a vault. Put it all in with me, goddammit.
And somebody
grave
digs
will
it up
be
and goes,
the-
"Look at all these games."
Be putting a
The grave will be the next ET burial site.
That's what I was just thinking.
God damn it, just bury me in a dump with all my games.
Concrete the top.
put a nice solid layer on top of me, I'll be good.
There you go.
Alright, so we're gonna end the podcast with Game of the Month. It's just a little segment. All we have to do is say the game of the month that either you're currently playing or what your game of the month is. It doesn't have to be something you're playing. It could be just something that you were watching, anything. Bones, start with you.
My game of the month is going to be Vigilante for the TurboGrafx 16 because I just got it and I started playing it and it's a damn good game.
Dan?
Yeah, my game of the month. Given the times, I'm gonna pick Resident Evil Outbreak because I'm gonna go back and play it and see if I remember what it's like to survive in a zombie apocalypse.
Dan, are you telling us something that we don't know?
Yeah, what's going on, Dan?
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Linda?
The Adventures of Lolo. I played that game and beat it. It was fun.
Nice.
Nice.
I
Nice.
saw EC Meyer vids play that, and I was like, that looks really intriguing. And I found it that it was on the Switch, so I played it on the Switch a whole bunch. I took like 2 hours and just like powered through it and beat it, and I was like, yay! And then at the end, I was like, ah!
And Zombie?
I'd have to say, I'm gonna cheat on this one. I'd have to say the Metroid series.
That's fine.
Yeah, some good battles with some Metroid games.
I was actually in one of those streams. But you didn't know
Yes, you
that.
Oh, creep,
I know
creep.
everything.
And
I
mine
see everything.
is actually Breath of the Wild. My son has just started playing that game, and he's actually getting
Good luck.
into it.
Nice.
I'm actually kind of
That's
surprised.
that's a good power. Like, you're gonna play nothing but that for a long time.
Well, it's not
Yeah,
me
lots
playing;
of
it's him
hours.
playing.
I know. Then you're gonna watch him play it. He's gonna take over the TV and play that all
No,
day.
he asked. He's already asked me questions. Dad, I'm lost already. I'm like, you just
Yeah.
started.
Oh.
You're gonna be
not
sitting
good.
there and you're gonna
He's
flip
like-
out on him like,
he's
go
like-
to the right,
right.
not the left.
He's like wandering around. He's like, Dad, I got up to this big rock guy, and I don't have nothing to fight him with. He's like,
You don't want to power through too much of the level. You want to go
Oh,
fight
he
some
doesn't know.
shrines and
he doesn't know Zelda
Yeah,
like
nah.
he knows Zelda. You know what I mean? This is his first
yeah,
time
you don't
playing
you don't
Zelda
want to start
ever.
fighting bosses. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's never played Zelda before. This is his first time, so he doesn't know anything about Zelda or anything about how it's related or how you got to strategically go through the game or nothing like that. He's trying it out on his own. I'm letting him power through it. So I want to see if he can do it without me giving him any too much of a like feedback on it or anything like that. See how it goes.
Come on, man, be a strategy guide.
No
It's gonna
strategy
be
guy.
one. That would be one heck of a transition to go from Breath of the Wild to the original Zelda game.
You're not lying.
Yeah, they're both just as vague. So, ooh.
Well, we'll see how it goes. If he starts struggling that bad, and he even actually told me, Dad, I don't want to go online. I don't want to search it. I don't want to look at strategy guides. I don't even want to look at the. I got the Explorers edition, which gives you that little book and the map. He doesn't even want to look at that stuff. So
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah, well, there's going to be a point where you almost need to watch somebody play some of them, especially like in the woods when you're in the fog. My God, man, I ran around aimlessly for hours before I figured out where the path was.
there's original Zelda for you right there.
yeah, you're not lying.
I know one thing. Once that new Resident Evil 3 drops, I'm probably going to be addicted to that more than anything.
Ooh, yes.
I'm so looking forward to
back
that
to that
remake.
zombie apocalypse, huh, Dan?
Yeah, that's why I chose. That's another reason why I chose that as Game of the Month, because I know Resident Evil 3 is almost upon us.
I should probably take the time to mention I enlisted in the Nemesis program, so if I go disappearing all of a sudden,
We'll take care of your
if you
collection.
hear
We will take your collection off your hands and your Legos.
I'll say games.
Instead of brains, games.
Games.
All right. So we're going to close it off, and I just want to thank you, Zombie, for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, you guys.
More than welcome. And
Yeah, anytime.
of course, the normal podcast crew, thanks for coming in and hanging out, and with the technical difficulty, still being here.
Yes, my precious.
And as always, don't blow, just leave.